Actually, all through life I've been insecure, and which is terrible, but since the age of 9, I suffered from insecurities, and I was always, I guess, in Caribbean families, I'm Haitian, you're never good enough. You're either too fat or you're too skinny, but you are never, ever, ever good enough. And I was always a small one. Like, from then until now, you could see pictures compared to me and anyone. And I was always significantly smaller, and that definitely played head games with me from a little girl, and it's something that I always struggled with. I mean, I always wanted to gain weight for myself, but it was also not to be criticized by everyone else, because I felt like everyone always had something to say, and I feel as though people think it's a compliment when they tell you you're so skinny, because this society is so obsessed with being thin or what have you, but every thin person doesn't want to be thin, you feel me? And it was a struggle, and I can say that it's still a struggle, but not as bad as it was when I was 9 years old. So weight was always an issue. I never felt good enough. I never felt pretty enough. It was always a problem for me. And then when it comes to hair, that wasn't easy either. My hair's pretty kinky, which is not, it's not really compared to the mainstream society. As a little girl, I always wanted the long, white, blonde hair that my Barbie dolls had. I would even run my hair under hot water, thinking that it would get straight, because, I was a little kid, and they pressed my hair with the hot comb, so I'm like, yeah, hot water is probably the same thing. Clearly, yeah, it wasn't the case. So I begged my mother for a perm, so she perms it in the 4th grade. And I was just ecstatic, because I thought this was the solution to all of my nappy problems. Like, my hair would be straight, and it was real straight, real straight, until 2 months later when it started kinking up again. And I was like, yeah, what's going on? So they don't tell you when you get your perm that you're gonna have to get a touch-up every 2 months. Every 2 months or less if your hair is kinkier than the rest of the people. So yeah, I had new growth in the kitchen. It's always in the kitchen, right back here. And, when you have new growth, you definitely have to reapply it. And you have to reapply the perm well. So, clearly, I had to do this every 2 months from 4th grade up until, I would say, freshman year of college. So, it was a journey, because even with my perm, my hair wasn't as soft as other girls, or, it was just so many issues with me that I had. And, I guess it's a whole beauty problem. You never really accept yourself. So freshman year of college, I went away to school, and I was so sick and tired of the perm, sick and tired of the chemicals, sick and tired of not being able to scratch my head when I wanted to, because, when you're about to get that touch-up, you can't scratch. Gotta pat your hair like that. You definitely have to take care of your hair. You cannot comb your hair. You can't brush your hair. I mean, so many rules. They don't tell you this on the little Just For Me box. They don't tell you that. So, freshman year, I finally decided I was going to do away with all the chemicals. I needed to be free. And I started snipping at my perm gradually until it was all gone, until the two textures started breaking, because if part of your hair is straight and the other part is kinky, it's going to break at the point where both the textures meet. And when I would wash my hair would just be falling out, because the perm was, it was just disintegrating or what have you. And it was a scary process, because can you imagine washing your hair and your hair is just falling out? So I just decided to cut it all off. And when I cut it all off, I was too embarrassed. My hair was definitely kinkier than it was before I put the perm in. Anyway, that's another story. So yeah, when I cut it all off, I wasn't even comfortable with my hair natural. So I wore braids for about 4 years, which was the whole duration of my time in college. And it was until about 2 years later that I started rocking an afro, because this is me. And I was just, I guess, telling the world in a sense that you have to accept me for me. And it was empowering, because I finally accepted well, I was on the journey towards accepting myself for who I really was. So I've been natural now for about 6 to 7 years, and it's an enlightening period for me, because I am not wishing that I look like anyone else anymore. I'm not wanting to be another person. I'm trying to just be comfortable in my own skin. Looking back at where I have been, it's only God. It's really only God who has brought me through. So yeah, my path to womanhood.
Thinking it's a funny thing. I figured out I can sing now. I'm not who I was. I write about love and such.
I'm helping you out. Like, don't fight the news.
Do you have, did you turn your phone on?